Your phone lights up, and behind your eyes, a switch flips. You stop blinking. You didn't decide it. You can't feel it. But the longer you stare at this screen, the drier your eyes get, and your brain is doing it on purpose. You blink 20 times a minute just living your life. At a screen, maybe 5, sometimes 3. And by the end of this, you'll see why that one tiny switch is the same reason an entire hour can vanish on your phone, and you barely notice. Feel your eyes right now. That gritty tightness? Those are the blinks you just skipped. So why would your brain sabotage your own eyeballs? To get that, you have to know what a blink actually does, because it's way more than shutting your eyes for 1/10 of a second. Every blink wipes a fresh layer of tears across your eye, cleans it, refocuses it, resets it. Skip enough of them, and your vision literally starts to blur at the edges. That's the gritty feeling. But that's the boring part. Here's where it gets strange. You'd think the fix is obvious. Just blink more at your screen, right? Except here's the twist. You already are blinking. Sort of. Researchers found that when people stare at screens, a huge chunk of their blinks are partial. The eyelid starts to close and stops halfway. It never fully shuts, so the tears never fully spread. Your brain thinks it blinked. Your eyes got nothing. You're running broken blinks, and you have no idea. If that just made you do a full, slow blink on purpose, yeah, that's the right reaction. And if this is already clicking, drop a like. It genuinely helps this reach more people. But broken blinks are just a symptom. The real question is why your brain dims them in the first place. And the answer starts with something kind of beautiful. Your blinks aren't random at all. They're perfectly timed. Think about that. You feel like you blink whenever. You don't. Your brain saves most of your blinks for tiny pauses. The end of a sentence, the moment a scene changes, the half-second a thought wraps up. It blinks when you're least likely to miss anything. It's quietly protecting your attention. And once you know that, something kind of wild shows up when a whole group of people watch the same video. Picture a room full of strangers watching the same film. You'd guess everyone blinks on their own random schedule. Nope. Studies found people tend to blink at the same moments, together, right at the lulls, the pauses, the breaths in the story. Their brains all decided the same instance were safe to look away. That's how tightly blinking is wired to attention. So, flip it around. What happens when nothing on the screen is ever a safe moment to look away? That's exactly what your phone is. It's built so the next interesting thing is always one thumb flick away. No lull, no pause, no natural breath where your brain goes, okay, safe to blink. So it just doesn't. It stays locked on, because as far as your attention is concerned, looking away might mean missing something. And that constant lock-on does something to a lot more than your eyes. Here's the part almost nobody talks about. Every time you blink, your brain takes a micro break. Brain scans show that in that sliver of darkness, activity shifts. The networks tied to hard focus briefly relax, and a quiet resting mode flickers on. A blink isn't only for your eyes, it's a tiny mental breath, a reset button you press hundreds of times a day without ever knowing. So do the math on that. Fewer blinks at a screen doesn't just dry your eyes. It means fewer of those little mental resets. Hundreds of them, gone, every time you fall down a scroll hole. Your brain never gets to exhale. And that might be part of why you can stare at your phone for an hour and stand up feeling weirdly fried, foggy, like your head's full of static. Which brings up a question I actually want you to answer. Quick one, drop it in the comments. When's the last time you looked up from your phone and realized way more time had passed than you thought? Be honest. I'm guessing it's happened more than once this week. Tell me below. Because that exact feeling, that lost time, is the thread that ties this whole thing together. And it goes back a lot further than phones. Rewind a few 100,000 years. Your ancestor is crouched in tall grass, eyes locked on something moving in the distance. Prey, maybe a predator. In that moment, blinking is dangerous. A blink is a tiny blackout, and the half-second your eyes are shut could be the half-second everything changes. So the brain learned a trick. When you lock onto something that matters, turn the blinking down. Hold your gaze. Don't miss the moment. That trick kept your ancestors alive. Intense focus, fewer blinks, total lock-on. It was never supposed to be a problem, because back then, the things that grabbed that kind of focus were rare. A hunt, a threat, a few intense minutes, then it was over, and you blinked normally again. Your brain assumed those moments would always be the exception. It had no way to know what was coming, and what's coming is a glowing rectangle, engineered to grab that exact ancient focus and never let go. Your phone trips the same wiring as a predator in the grass. Bright, moving, unpredictable, always one swipe from something new. Your brain can't tell the difference between track this animal or you die and watch one more clip. So it does what it's done for 100,000 years. It locks on, and it stops blinking. So here's the whole thing, finally tied together. When you stop blinking at your phone, that's not a random eye quirk, it's a signal. It means your brain has slipped into that ancient total lock-on state, the survival mode it saved for the most important moments of your ancestors' lives. And in that state, your sense of time goes quiet. That's why the hour disappears. You weren't bored or zoned out. You were locked in, the same way a hunter loses themselves in the chase. The dry eyes? That's just the one symptom you can actually feel. The lost time, the foggy head, the way you couldn't look away. That was the hidden part the whole time. So the next time your screen lights up and your eyes go still, you'll know exactly what's happening behind them. And honestly, just knowing is half the fix. Blink on purpose, look away every few minutes, and you snap yourself right back out. If this changed how you see that thing in your hand, subscribe, because the next one digs into another quiet little trick your brain runs without ever asking you first. Now go on, blink, a real one. Then tap the video on the screen right now before your brain talks you into one more scroll.